everyone. Welcome to the Let's Talk It Out platform. I'm Al Clipshows, aka Trey Busy, and you are listening to the series led by published author and life coach Celicia Shan, known as Shining the Light on Toxic Relationships. This is a series that Celicia teaches, and she's also the host of it. Celicia, how are you doing tonight?
You know what? I'm doing really good despite this gloomy Chicago weather.
Yeah, the weather is one of many things that are messing with the energy and the life force right now. But anyway, before we get going with tonight's lesson, you have a question that has been submitted to you.
Okay.
So, someone wants to know, if you know the root of toxic relationships is your parents, how do you confront that and do better?
That is a great question. And as Alex said, I am a certified professional life coach and I help women capitalize on their happiness while single and realize that having a partner is just a bonus. But I love to dive into the root of our addiction to toxic relationships, which is our parents, believe it or not. So this question is a great question and it ties into what we want to shine the light on, which is toxic relationships. And many of us grow up to realize that much of our abuse from toxic relationships stems from our parents. And it's very painful for some of us to come to terms with. And many of you go through stages similar to the stages of grief once you've made this huge discovery about it. So the stages are denial, where you love your parents so much that it can be so hard to accept that they are your abuser. And in fact, many people are still being abused by their parents today, but they fail to accept that their mess actually stems from them and they stay stuck in the abusive cycle. The next stage is anger. And once you realize this, some become extremely angry with their parents and even go to the extent of completely cutting them off, which can be the ideal situation for some, because if you're dealing with narcissistic parents who are using you as their energy supply by doing manipulative things and gaslighting you, cutting them off might be the ideal circumstances. The third thing is bargaining. When you go back and forth thinking, well, they did what they did because of what they went through, and you try to make it make sense. You try to justify everything that they did so that it feels better to you. And the fourth stage is depression, where you get stuck and down thinking that something is wrong with you because of the effects of the toxic parenting, and it leaves you feeling unworthy and not wanting to go through with life. Because if you don't know, there's a theory that depression is linked to relationship dysfunction. And so if the root of your relationship dysfunction is your parents, it makes sense and it can easily be understood why you're stuck in depression when you haven't yet dealt with the toxicity of the relationships with your parents. And the last and final stage is acceptance. And this is where you can transcend the pain and accept what you've experienced as a part of your story. You learn from it and you move on. Now, some of you can get stuck in either phase as long as you need to. And if you're still not at a place to accept it and let it go, keeping yourself trapped is either in either phase is a way to keep you from moving on. But don't judge yourself if you feel like you are stuck in one of these cycles. It's quite okay. Sometimes we need to sit in different stages longer than the other because we have more to process within each stage. But I always tell my clients to confront themselves first before they confront their parents, because at the end of the day, it's you, right? And what if your parents are deceased? You can't go and confront your deceased parents. So you have to deal with the issues yourself first if you truly want to stop being the victim and moving into the place of your empowerment. So if you are feeling like you are stuck as a victim, try taking yourself out of yourself and view yourself like an observer. So this is a place where you can always go if you want to feel yourself, if you want to see yourself from an outside non-judgmental perspective. But the dangers of you confronting your parents without dealing with these discoveries within yourself first, if your parents are still alive, is that you can actually deepen your wound, because it's like going into the ring wanting to fight Mayweather, but yet you did not prepare at all for any of the blow, prepare at all for blocking any of the blows. So if your parents are still unevolved and are prone to throwing shots and insults, You have to prepare yourself first before you try these difficult conversations, and preparation comes through healing, especially if you're dealing with narcissistic parents. There is not no amount of preparation that you can do to have a conversation with them where they're going to be respectful of you and not insult you. So some conversations don't even need to be had because you know they're going to be a spiral effect. They're going to circle around and be the same thing. You're going to experience the same insults and the same shots being thrown at you. So it's really important for you to work on your healing first and get grounded within yourself. So here are 5 ways that you can deal with the pain caused by your parents. So the first way is recall all of the painful stories you remember from your childhood and journal about them. So it is usually the stories that you keep telling people over and over, from your painful memories. You know, remember that time I got this whooping I will never forget. Or the time when your mom called you a bitch and a hoe, or a deadbeat, or fat, or insulted your nose, or the time when you were so excited about something and your father was completely disengaged when you were expressing your excitement, or for some, the time when you were sexually assaulted and you were clearly off, but no one asked you anything and went about their day as if nothing happened. Take yourself back to those painful moments. And if you can't go back to childhood because you just can't remember those moments, start with your adult memories. We have to remember when we're healing in layers. It's similar to like an onion, and you're peeling back the layers of an onion. And the deeper you go to the core of the onion, that's the core of your pain. So sometimes we've built so many layers over our healing that we have to start from where we are at and continue to peel back the layers until we can get to the core root of where it all stemmed from. So we can always start where we're at. So, for instance, me, when I first started discovering that I needed to heal, I was around the age of 25. And I was going to visit my dad, who I haven't seen in over 10 years. He was pretty much absent during my childhood and he lived in another country. So, when he asked if I could bring him a pair of gym shoes when I came to see him, it triggered something in me. And I saw red. In my mind, I'm like, how could this person who never did anything for me even fix his lips to ask me to send him some shit? I then realized that my healing start in those adult moments and I had to work my way backwards. And in that time, I tried to address it with my dad, but I didn't prepare myself. So the conversation went completely left and it caused more pain and more wounds to happen because I jumped into that ring to fight Mayweather way before it was time. So moving on to number 2, the second thing that you can do is that you can close your eyes and visualize yourself as that child during those moments, or adult, when you wish your parents showed up for you. So, what did that child need? What did you need in that moment? Did you need a hug? Did you need a kiss? Did you need just to be held or to be heard? What did you need? And then when you're visualizing this, notice how your body is feeling. And where was it in your body? Were you holding this tension? So notice how you were feeling and sit in that moment. Now, bring your adult self to that child. Imagine you right now as your adult self in all of your awareness. Bring yourself to that child in your visualization and meet that child's needs. Sit with the feeling of being hugged, kissed, held, or heard in that moment. Give yourself what you need. And the third thing that we can do is recall all of the lies that you told yourself because of your experience. Are you not pretty enough, or handsome enough, or good enough in general? Are you never going to be shit in life? Or are you unworthy of the good things out of life? What negative self talk did you take on because of this? For me, stemming back to that moment, I realized that I've been telling myself that I wasn't worthy of being loved without doing. Doing for others displayed my worth. And you know what that attracts? Takers. So we always talk about like attracts opposite, right? So if you're a good person, you'll attract a bad person. Like also attracts like. So a lot of times when we are unaware, we are attracting our opposite because we have not yet understood what our needs are so that we can meet them intentionally. So if you know this about yourself, I am somebody who is a giver. And, I'm aware that there are also takers in this world because you're aware of your wound. You will consciously be aware of takers. And so you will protect yourself when you see that. And then when you see somebody who is a giver, you'll understand, like, oh, this person is just like me. They won't abuse this relationship. It all starts with self awareness. The fourth thing that we can do is challenge those negative programs and change them into action phrases and affirmations. So many times, because we have believed our own lies with toxicity, we fail to see how this is true in our actual reality. I am attractive. I have people who crush on me and have complimented me on XYZ in the past. I find more ways to compliment myself. I am enough. I graduated college, I landed a big job, I managed to stay alive thus far, etc., and have accomplished XYZ to prove this. I am a work in perfection. I am worthy. I know my worth because I set healthy boundaries to protect myself and my energy. You can always challenge yourself on the lies that you've told yourself by going back in the past and pulling out facts and experiences that prove them to be incorrect. A lot of times our mind will play these tricks on us, and unless we are ready to play with it and follow through with it, let me see, how true is that really? Start asking yourself that when you start having negative self-talk. How true is that really? Am I really not enough? Where did I prove that I was enough in the past? And pull up those experiences. You have to keep reassuring yourself that, because this is the big hole in the gap that you never got for yourself in the past. And the fifth and final steps that I have for you is make these a habit. Make these steps a habit. Whenever you are triggered from a toxic memory from your past due to what your parents inflicted, pull out your journal, start visualizing, recall the lies you created because of those experiences, and challenge them. If you need help coming up with a plan, contact me, and I'll help you create a customized plan for yourself. We have to remember that healing is a lifestyle, not a destination. You don't just wake up and say, "Oh, well, I journaled five times this week. I'm done with my healing." No, there's so much there that we don't even know about. So our job is to continue to seek and to continue to work on our healing and make this a actual practice. The more you are able to deal and address these triggers, the less you will be triggered. And when you are triggered less, you are showing signs of your healing. So if you ever wonder, how do I know that I am healed? You are triggered less. So those people that they call themselves a firecracker. They go off in an instant. They're easily angered, easily mad, easily upset, hard to communicate with. Those are the people that have the most amount of healing to do. And if you desire, if after doing all of this you still desire to discuss all of this with your parents, the likelihood of you being upset or hurt even more after the conversation decreases the more you address the issue within yourself first. So now you've reduced the amount of triggers that you've had. So remember, our parents raised us to the best of their level of consciousness, and that is the key. Many of us want to blame them and be upset and hold grudges against them, but you have to remember it is their level of consciousness that is keeping them where they're at, and having them spill this poison onto you. If you do have these type of parents, it's not intentional, as hard as that may sound. Remember that. So whether they were in your life or they chose not to be, the more we learn to forgive them, the more we heal ourselves, because we are an extension of them. Their blood, their DNA run through us. So when you're healing them, when you're healing yourself, you're healing them and you're healing the generation to come. And it takes bravery to heal and to do what you're doing. So if you are listening today, you are brave. You could be running around masking your pain right now by abusing drugs and alcohol, distracting yourself constantly with music, television, or sex, but you chose to listen today and face yourself. So you are the true winner today. And even if you were doing all those things, you still made time for this today. So this is still a small win. It's still a win. It takes time, it takes patience, and it takes practice. So be gentle with yourself and be patient again. So let me know if you find this helpful. And if you haven't noticed, I am pretty open and candid about my experiences. And remember, what you expose, you heal. And as we wrap up, remember to purchase my book on Amazon. At the end of the day, it's me, Overcoming the Addiction to Toxic Relationships. And you can follow me on Instagram where you can send over your questions at continued_expansion. And if you would like a one-on-one coaching session, I'm doing a COVID deal of 30 for 30. That's 30 minutes for $30. If you want to come up with a plan to create a lifestyle and a schedule for your healing, we can do that. Or if you want to talk through something, release some stress, if COVID have you, in a position where you want to gain some clarity and you need someone to talk to in a non-judgmental space, I am here for you. You will be surprised how much someone can pull out in 30 minutes. And if you have any questions, feel free to send them in to me, like I said, on my Instagram page. That's all I have for you for today. So I'll see you in the next one. Peace.